Coming up this week on the program, me and Gary are both sick, and we both sound like old men. So prepare for talk about shoes and negativity and naps. That's this week on the Rockstar Dad Show.
This is a song for my friends Jaret and Gary. They started a podcast and said a theme was necessary. They're just a couple of guys in a band that you know. Some rockstar dads who started a show. So here's the next episode.
Welcome to the Rockstar Dad Show. This is the fourth time we've tried to start the show today.
We're really going to do it.
You know, most of the time we would just leave that in, but since we do video now too, you know, it's a whole thing. Like it puts more work on Jack, you know, to like mask the fact that we didn't know what we were doing when we first started. And anyway, Gary, we're gonna have a disclaimer on today's show.
Yeah. The disclaimer being that we're both in advance apologizing for sniffing and coughing because we're a little under the weather.
Yeah, you know, I hate being sick, man. I usually just do fine with it. I usually just barrel through. And I kind of have this time too, but once I get a chest cold, once it's like in there and like I'm coughing and then it just cripples me because I was so frustrated because I can't do anything, you know, like like yesterday I was finishing up a Christmas song for Jaret Reddick, the country stuff, and all I needed to do was these oohs and ahs, and I do those things in my fucking sleep, you know, like.
Yeah.
And
we shared a hotel room for years. I know.
Yeah, exactly. Wow. Okay. I love it. But, oh Jesus. Yes. But anyway, I just didn't sound good. So I actually had to farm it out. So Rob did it for me, which is nice because now Rob is on the song. But yeah, man.
Do you do the thing? Do you know, like there's the stereotype and all the memes and stuff on Facebook and everywhere, but like that when guys get sick that they're just, you know, they have a cold and they can't leave the bed. Like, do you feel like you do that thing?
No, I don't.
Not at all.
No, not in the least. In fact, so I look at it as like this badge of this is a point of contention in my house, actually. Because I look at it as like, I just stay up. I'm still functioning. I'm doing my shit. But my wife looks at it as like, you're just going around the house coughing and touching shit. And you need to just stay put. Like she wants me to stay in bed, but I'm like, I'm not going to do that. So yesterday I just fucking left the house. I went and picked up some hats for both bands. And I ran a couple of errands, but then I got home and I was like, okay, I'm fucking exhausted. So no, I'm definitely not one of those guys. If I'm bedridden, like it's as bad as you can. It's like almost hospital time.
Yeah. Same with me. I mean, if it's the little cold thing or, you know, what all the memes are saying, no, we're still going about our business. I mean,
I don't even complain. I just look like shit. And so like Casey will just go, oh, you don't feel good. And I'm like, I really don't. You know, but I don't just sit around just going, fucking sick.
Yeah.
You know? But I do preempt things like this show that we're doing here, or like even a couple of TikToks that I made where I'm just like, hey, I don't look like this now. I'm just very sick. And, you know, and most people are like, well, why don't you just rest or whatever? Like Tim Powers was hitting me up last night about some stuff that we have going on for the band. And he's just like, why don't you, I saw you were out doing errands and you're sick. Why don't you know that you're in your 50s. Like, why don't you just fucking chill, you know? And I'm like, I don't know. There's not a TV in my room, you know? I mean, what would I do?
Did you not take that personally? You weren't like, bro, come on, man. Why are you calling me old?
Well, no, because he's older than me. And and so I just assume that he knows that it's going to be worse later, you know?
Yep.
And so that's where I'm at with that. But yeah, man, being sick sucks. But I get like really sick a very few amount of times, you know? And so like I have days where I don't feel good. But you know, it's full steam ahead for me.
How about when you were a kid?
Yeah.
And you were not the deathly, you know, bedridden, you know, not the flu, not that kind of, not the, what we're talking about, the, hey, it's almost hospital. I'm saying when you're like, I just don't quite feel great. When you're a kid, what'd your parents do? Were they like, oh, you have to go to school, or were you stay home if you don't feel great?
Man, I actually had the most unique situation in the world. And my mom worked at a lab. And if you stayed home sick, you had to go to the lab and get stuck. So they had to prick your finger with the thing and draw blood. So like, if you stayed home, you had to earn that shit. Like, I'm not even sure they even ran tests on me. Like,
I was going to say, like, what are they testing for?
Exactly. I honestly, I don't know. I mean, maybe they're just, and you know what? Fuck, man.
It was just a test and see if you really were sick.
If you really were sick, but do I have to go? Just get me all the way to the thing. You know, like we've been watching this thing called The Dark Tourist. Have you seen that show?
No.
Okay.
We did start watching the other one you told us about, though, the telemarketers.
And?
It's like we were watching it at bedtime, and it's crazy interesting, but it's like all the things that I felt like I already knew just about how creepy and crummy and whatever. But like after a while, you know, we're trying to wind down and get ready for sleep, and then Nick's like, I feel like they're just saying the same thing over and over, that these people are just scumbags.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
anyway, so we're like halfway through the first episode.
Well, but it gets honestly, it's just to get you to sort of know the characters, and then it goes sort of off the rails a bit.
I kind of felt that, like, right whenever she was saying that, I'm like, I'm with you, but like the last thing they said was something that I feel like is starting to progress it.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Yeah, they get into some shit where you're just like, well, and it's very eye-opening, but I think it's something that you already know. You know, I don't want to spoiler alert it for the people, but like, I feel like, you know, by the time you're done with it, you go, man, I guess I already knew that, you know, but it changes your outlook on fundraising. That's for certain. Like even you and I talked about the school stuff, and I don't want to get into it because I don't want kids to have trouble raising money for their school, but it's all fucked. But anyway, so this accidental tourist guy, he goes to Cambodia. No. Yes. Yeah. I think it's Cambodia. I don't know. He goes to, it starts with a C, and you can do anything there. You could literally do anything in the world there if you have the money, right? So they go to the shooting range, and you can shoot a bazooka, a rocket launcher, any kind of machine gun, anything.
This sounds like a lot of fun as long as there aren't other yahoos around, right?
Well,
I want to go shoot a bazooka, but I don't want some other jackwagon 10 feet away shooting his bazooka.
That's one of the kids there that he runs into, is this kid from the UK. And the kid goes, yeah, the problem is that nobody knows how to shoot a bazooka. Even the guys that are working there at the place, like, don't know how. They're not trained to shoot a bazooka. They're just like, here, you can shoot this. So anyway, the guy had heard.
It's a cash grab.
100%. And the guy had heard that you could shoot an animal. And it starts with like chicken or a duck. And then it graduates up to a cow. And he's like, so I can shoot a cow. And they're like, yeah, man, if you want to. Now, this dude's fucking crazy, by the way. Like, you don't realize it for the first episode that this guy is out of his fucking mind. Like, he has no fear of anything. Nothing. I mean, like, it just, like, they'll tell him he can't film somewhere, and he'll just go, oh, I can't film in here. And he'll just walk in, and the camera just follows him, and he'll just be like, okay, well, is it okay if the camera's in here? And they'll be like, okay, just stay there. And then they just keep going, you know, and then when they're done, he just apologizes, and they're like, oh, okay, it's fine. But he works his way all the way through the hierarchy of like the animals and the gun and everything, and gets for $400, they're going to let him shoot a cow. And so he's like, okay, so we just do it right over there. And he goes, well, we have some cows up at the front. I have to go get one. And so the guy rides off on a motorcycle and just comes back with a fucking cow on a rope. And the cow is pissed. Like, the cow, it's like almost like it knows some shit's about to go down. And this guy like goes through the whole thing where they line it up and he's about to pull the trigger. And then he just goes, yeah, I'm not going to do it. And the guys that are working there were just like, yeah, we get it. And he was just like, everybody was so happy. Even the people working there were so glad I didn't do this. That's what my mom should have done on my sick days, is get me all the way up there and into the chair, like stick me once or something. But anyway, I had to fucking get Gary every time. And then she'd take me back home, and then I got to sit there. But on the way home, she would stop and get me, Campbell's double noodle soup.
Right.
A thing of root beer, and sometimes a treat for being sweet.
The Campbell's chicken noodle is like, that's required sick food, right?
100%. And double noodle came out when I was a kid. And so it was like the gods had opened up the heavens.
I don't think I knew that was a thing till like Anik and I moved in together, because I wasn't spoiled with that stuff as a kid. Have you had it lately? Like Campbell's soup? Oh, yeah. It's still pretty good. It's not as good as I think it was when we were kids. Like, it's like, remember when McDonald's cheeseburgers were like actually the size of a cheeseburger? Yeah. Yeah. I wonder if it's one of those things that the soup's actually changed. I'm sure it has, or if it's just our tastes. Yeah. But whenever I was a kid and like trying to stay home from school, my mom didn't have this lab needle thing, but my thing was, if I don't go to school, it doesn't matter if it's Monday, right? If you don't go to school Monday, then you can't do anything over the weekend. Like, you can't go to sleepovers. What? Yeah. So, I mean, okay, that kind of makes sense if it's Friday, right? Yeah. But like, if you miss a day of school this week, then over the weekend, you can't go do rest. Yeah. Yeah. Now, I could still go do like sports stuff, you know, like, but I couldn't go to a friend's house for a sleepover or something like that. Right. Which is completely different than what we're doing as parents, because Tyler is developing this little thing that you and I have right now, this little cold that we got. Yeah. And so yesterday he didn't feel amazing. And the first thing that they do in the morning is football. He's got to be there at 7:45, and that's like 2 hours of football. Yeah. And so I didn't make him go to that because he wasn't feeling good. And I was like, hey, just go back to sleep. I know you're tired. And I thought he'd wake up and like we'd go to the rest of the day. And he woke up and he still wasn't feeling amazing. So we didn't make him go to school yesterday. But he had a baseball game last night, and he went and played the baseball game. Well, I mean, I don't know. I think it's different. I really do. And I think so. I mean, I think we probably would have missed that game when we were kids. But sports are different now, and school's different now. Like that's where I was going to go next. I just don't have the full faith and belief that a day of school now is equal to what a day of school was back then. Even that aside, they don't fucking like the rest of us parents don't want your sick ass kid at school. The teachers don't want your sick ass kid at school. Sure. Just if you're sick, fucking stay home. That's sort of the thing. Well, let me challenge you on that though, because I'm not talking about the flu or something like that. We're talking about the cold and not feeling well. Sure. And it's the same thing that if you're sick, you're running around picking up hats and going and doing stuff, right? Yeah. Good point. I mean, that's just it, man. I think it comes down to parental responsibilities. I think you made the right choice. I mean, look, I guess the rule of thumb is, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure this is right. If they don't have a fever, they're not quote unquote contagious, but obviously cold spread, but sure, kids can live through a cold. But right, I mean, I don't know, but I am with you, man. That now that everything's online and shit, like you just fucking stay home, and you just make up the thing and you write a note and that's that. But sports are different. Like I don't think we would send Everett to a practice, but if this team's dependent on him and he's got a game or something, then I think we would send him. He's not going he's not going to drum lessons if he's sick. Right. I mean, that makes sense too. Like practice is different than a game. Yeah. And different leagues are different than other leagues. Yeah. If your kid's still in the league with, half the kids on the field are picking grass instead of paying attention, sure, like, okay, maybe, but if it's more competitive, then it's like, hey man, are you feeling good enough to actually go play in Canyon and contribute? But dude, you're
situation is completely different because your team so depends on your child. And I'll say it for you. Like, they basically get the shit kicked out of him if he's not there. And he missed a game this weekend. Both of our kids missed a game this weekend because we went on vacation or like a little trip together. And their teams got the living shit kicked out of them. You know, and that's what happened. Now, yours is partially because your child wasn't there. Mine, I don't think it was that.
I don't know. If it were the team last year, I would say it's because he wasn't there. He's on a different team this year. It's a good team. I think we're a new team and we went and played a better and established team and got the shit kicked out of us. So. Yeah,
they keep those teams together, and for good reason. I think that's good. You know, they used to break our teams apart in the league that Everett is in. Every single season, they would break them apart, and you could only keep. The coach could keep, I think, 4 players, and then you had to redraft. And honestly, I didn't like that. And it's not necessarily just because of winning and losing thing. It's you need to learn you need to learn how to be on a team and to care about sport. And, you know, the kids just didn't care back then.
When at a younger age, you don't have a first baseman and you don't have a pitcher.
Exactly.
And you know what I'm saying? Like, let this kid play this position. Let him go play that position. Let's let him play all the positions, figure out what position they're good at.
Yep.
And as they get older, they can gravitate towards here's the 2 that I play. Right.
Right.
But at a younger age, they need to be moving around. And secondly, at a younger age, they're building friendships.
Exactly.
They're learning how to get along with each other and even build a bond with a coach. So I kind of don't like that for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
I get what they're trying to do of like, hey, let's not have one team that just runs the league for the next 5 years.
Sure.
But at the same time, like, I don't know if that's really great for the development of all the kids.
No. And plus that's what we grew up in. Like, it just, you know, you just knew that, like, when I was a kid, Robert Brooks, whose name is Scooby, who's a coach in Wichita Falls now, I think. And his daughter's about to go to the Olympics or some shit. It's fucking bonkers. But he played for the Vikings when we were little kids. And the Vikings were just the best team because they had one play. They just handed the ball to Scooby. And then he went to my junior high. And in junior high, the McNeil Mustangs, we had one play. We just handed the ball to Scooby.
Yeah.
And that was literally the citywide fucking thing. You just, I mean, you know, that dude was like the kid that was our age that, you know, could, I guess, well, at the other school, you guys had Jason Lavender, who was really amazing too. But, you know, that like he was the kid that, like, if he would have gone pro, nobody would have been surprised. And,
right.
Know, and that, but
did that talent stick with him through high school? And then also what happened to him after that?
Yeah, he went to high school, and then I don't really know. We lost touch. He was like the star of our high school team too.
Okay. And a lot of the times the kid that's great in, you know, elementary school, junior high, like, they just lose it. Everyone else catches up to them. Right?
Well, that's the thing. It's like Jeff Skinner was this kid that by the time he was in 5th grade, he was 5'6" and had a full beard, you know, seriously, I'm not joking. Like, kid had a full beard, like going into middle school, and he was way bigger than everybody else. But like, that's as big as he got. He stayed 5'6" and just, and hairy, I guess. I don't know. Jeff Skinner's a great guy, but he by the time you got to high school, he was just this little, it's little tiny Jeff Skinner. But like, he was this huge motherfucker. Like, you were scared when that motherfucker came up to bat in baseball, you know, and he's a foot taller than everybody else. It was scary. It was like, I don't want to be in front of that ball that he's about to hit. It's going to fucking hurt.
Yeah.
Even if it hits in my glove, you know, like, it's that thing. Like, that's going to fucking sting. I really don't want that to happen.
That's you see all the kids doing the catch thing where, like, they're getting out of the way but trying to catch it.
Oh yeah. Oh, that thing is hilarious. My favorite is the faking like you're gonna catch a pop fly. Like, you know, to where you're just like, I got this thing, but you're nowhere near it because you're just like, that thing's gonna hit me in the fucking face. I don't want any part of that. Oh man. Anyway, so we're sick, and this is the Rockstar Dad Show. We're gonna take a quick break. We'll be right back with more stuff. No guest today. You're stuck with me and Gary. Y'all listen to this. Welcome back to the Rockstar Dad Show. Don't forget, we're right here on Adobe Radio every single Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern. And then on Wednesdays, we go to your favorite podcast app. We're also on YouTube. And I think we're on Facebook. I don't know. Are we? I don't know.
Yeah. We're all over the place.
We're on everything. Follow us on social media. Rockstar Dad Show. Man, I really, it's funny how things, as you get older, you start to understand, the impact of little things that, like, when you were a kid, did. So we could start with the nap, right? Like, you don't want to take naps. And then when you get to be older, you're like, oh man, a fucking nap is the goddamn greatest thing in the world.
Right now, Mia is at the age where it's obvious that she's tired.
Yeah.
Like on the drive to Broken Bow is a perfect example.
Yeah.
She's obviously tired. And just take a nap. We'll be there in just a minute if you take a nap. And she's like, naps are for babies.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, no, daddy takes naps. Right? Naps are awesome.
Yeah.
But, then 5 minutes later, she's asleep. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. It's funny to watch her, actually, because what I'm going to talk about is, but just a little, it starts with naps, but it's little things. It's like a home cooked meal, where you don't give a shit about that when you're a kid. But then once you get like a really nice home cooked meal or whatever, and you're just like, oh, fuck, this is so good. And but a couple of days away, just to not do anything and just fucking kick it. And we managed to pull that off this last weekend. It was me and Casey and Everett and the older kids were both working. And then, of course, your family, the Wisemans, family of 4, and then our good friends Amy and Derek and their kids, and then my in-laws, Dennis and Shanna, went. And we like to go to this place in Oklahoma called Broken Bow. It's an amazing spot. And there's just these luxury cabins everywhere. And you've heard us talk about this place on the show because we've both been there at separate times before, but we had never gone together.
Yep.
But you essentially rent like a huge fucking house and everybody has their own bedroom.
Everyone around here calls them cabins. You rent a cabin in Broken Bow.
Yeah.
And whenever we were leaving, we took a picture in front of this last cabin. We do it every time.
Yeah.
But Anik sent it to her family because we were there over the weekend. It was our anniversary. And everyone from her family, aunts and uncles, and everyone started texting, happy anniversary or whatever. And so she responded, oh, thanks so much. We went to a cabin in Broken Bow. And she sent this picture back. And her family's like, shit, they call that a cabin? Like,
yeah, I mean, it's
really nice.
It was crazy. I mean, it was 4 king-size bedrooms, and then they had this bunk area that looked like a jungle gym with all these bunk beds on different levels, and you could climb from one to the other, and the kids were so stoked. And
there's 2 different patios outdoor that are like furnished, multiple different seating areas. The square footage on the patios the size of people's houses.
It was 3,500. Dennis looked it up. It was 3,500 square foot of patio.
That's crazy.
And like multiple sitting areas and a hot tub and a ping pong table and a pool table and video games. And
I want to go back.
I know, me too. But it's just one of those things where it's like once we got off tour, and we need to talk about the tour too, but we got off tour and, you're just like, man, I just kind of want to fucking be at home, my dogs. And, but you know what? We're going to go do this Broken Bow. It's Everett's birthday. It's the Wiseman's anniversary. We're going to fucking go have some fun. And, God, just getting there and just chilling and just, hanging out with your friends and, having some beers and, you guys, all Dennis, Derek and Gary are all really good cooks. So everybody's cooking and, man, it was a great weekend.
For me, it was one of the most, it's hard to explain, one of the most relaxing times I've ever gone to Broken Bow. And I've always thought going to Broken Bow is extremely relaxing.
Yeah.
But what normally happens is we go just our family and like my mom will go, and we've gone with Anik's parents and sisters, but it's still just, family. But what usually happens is the whole time Tyler's like, let's play ping pong, let's play pool, blah, blah, blah. And he doesn't have a buddy there. So I'm his buddy, which is great. And I love 100%. It. It's so much fun, but it's not relaxing. And then on top of that, I cook breakfast for everyone. I cook lunch for everyone. I cook dinner for everyone, which I love doing, but it's a lot of work. Right.
Yeah.
And so this trip, Tyler had other kids to play with. He and I played ping pong and pool and chess still, but it wasn't the entire time. I got to hang out and do some adult time and some relaxing. And then also I only had to cook one meal.
Yeah.
And got to cook one meal. And, so I had a lot more downtime to just kind of chill and relax. It was awesome.
Yeah. Well, I thought the same thing, because that's just it. Like, there was the kids are at this age where they don't fight anymore.
Yeah.
And like, even the brothers don't fight, the Pittsinger boys. And so like, they just all kind of entertained themselves until they didn't, and then, go and do whatever. But, it was Everett's birthday. And so he got some new shit, and, he pretty much was done for the weekend. I didn't have to do shit. It was very relaxing for me. I did not have to cook. I didn't have to I didn't have to be Julie from the Love Boat and be tour guide. And, it rained, so we didn't have to fucking go outside. It was great. I mean, man, I just chilled, and I took 2 naps one day, and it was an awesome weekend. But, it's funny, because I'm glad you said that you thought it was like the most relaxing time that you've had there too, because that's the thing, is that like, it's interesting how you can go somewhere for 48 hours and it actually, really, you leave there going, man, I am reset, I could have used one more day. I think one more day would have been good, because you and I went for it the first day. Like, we fucking went for it.
Well, we kind of tripped into going for it, but we ended up being there.
It wasn't, we didn't set out to do that. We didn't set out, like, we were just having some beers. In fact, I was having a beer, and you go, oh, I was going to ask you when we were going to start drinking. And I was like, this is my second one. And you're like, well, son of a bitch. And so we start drinking beers, and then that's in the evening, have some pizza. And then we just got outside and started bullshitting, and we split a bottle of bourbon.
Well, it's one of those things where it was probably like 1:00 in the morning. And I was like, yeah, it's winding down. It's been a great night. We're probably here for another 30 minutes, maybe an hour.
Yeah.
And it started trickling down to where it was like you, me, and Anik and Derek.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, things are winding up. And I don't know what happened at that point, because the next thing I know, the bottle of bourbon was empty, and it's 4:00 in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah. It was like,
and it was great.
What was funny is Anik kept going, you guys are going to finish that bottle of it. And we're like, no, we're not. No, we're just, but it was just 3 dudes sipping on it. And it just, each time somebody gets a sip, you top the next guy off. And the next thing you know, that thing was gone. And you had planned on that thing lasting the whole weekend at least.
Well, I don't know. I thought it would last into the next day, but I wasn't upset that it didn't.
Now, you're a big bourbon guy, and which is interesting, because like that Casey didn't even know that. And it's like, that's something that you do at home, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like you enjoy, because I have several friends that are into this bourbon, right? We know Gary, my other Gary Price, new Gary, as we call him, or Grumpy. But anyway, Gary Price. And he's big into it. Like, he does the thing where he will have, he'll go to Oklahoma and buy somebody's stash or whatever. Now, but you have a recent story that I think is funny for the Rockstar dads out there that like bourbon, because we were on tour, and you caught wind of this bottle of bourbon being somewhere, right? Tell us about this. I don't know
if I know which one. I don't.
You had to send the wife.
Oh, yeah, I got you. Okay. So, sorry, there's so many bottle of bourbon.
Oh my
stories.
God. Just so many bottles of bourbon.
No, it was actually on our day off. We were in Pennsylvania, and we got to go see Jackie recommissioning into the Navy. And then we sat at Rob's favorite bar all day and drank. And normally on a day off, I kind of chill and relax. And that was wholeheartedly my plan that day. But ended up, we had to go, not had to, but we did the right thing and went and saw our friend do this thing. And so since we were already at this bar at like 1:00 in the afternoon, I ended up just staying there till they closed, I think.
We actually, I have to be honest about this. I'm going to take a bit of responsibility for this whole thing, because everybody else, everybody but me and you, and I think Edo, who left early, left for a while.
Yeah.
And came back. But me and you are sitting there and we're bullshitting. And then, we're going to start talking about it. And you're like, man, man, I didn't think I was going to be into this today or whatever. Like, you want to split some of this and should we get another beer or whatever? And then I fucking knew I was going to hang out there all day.
Sure. Yeah.
And so I kept expecting you to get up and just go, I'm going to go back to the bus for a little bit. I'll see you. And you just fucking never did.
Well, I fully planned on it, and whenever Marco and them went back, I had them scope out the pool sitch, and the hot tub sitch, and the reports back weren't great. And so when the reports back weren't great, I was like, I'm just gonna stay here and drink because I'm already having a good time.
Yeah, well, we had a good time that day. It was a good time, but you know,
but yeah. So I was sitting at that bar, and at one point got on Facebook, and I'm in all these different bourbon groups and follow different stores, and it's an important part of my life. And anyways, I saw one of the stores post this bottle of bourbon that's extremely hard to find, and usually it's like anywhere from $700 to $1,200 to buy, and I'm like, I'm not buying that. But it was on sale, not on sale. They had it for sale for $250, which is like the MSRP.
Right.
And it's kind of off the beaten path. And I was like, man, if I were home, I would go pick that up. It's like an hour drive away. And so anyways, I texted Nick and I was like, hey, what you doing tomorrow? Because it's like 8:00 at night. She's not going today. It's like, nothing. I'm off work. I go, well, you want to go take a nice relaxing drive through the countryside tomorrow? And she's like, what do you mean? And I told her. And so she is a bargain shopper. And I basically screenshotted her this app that shows what the secondary price is versus what the MSRP is. And whenever I shot her that, I was like, see, it's on sale for the actual MSRP, but it sells for this price. And she's like, okay, I'll go. It can be your anniversary present. So she went and picked the bottle up for me.
Okay. Well, that was very nice. But the funny thing about it is that when we started talking about bourbon, it quickly changed to, well, I spent my day off driving 3.5 hours to go get a bottle of bourbon, which is what wives do, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if they do. She's a good one.
Yeah, she is a great one. But your secret, like the thing is that I don't really know that you sort of crept up into this whole thing for, as far as I'm concerned, of like getting as interested in it as you are, because I didn't realize that you were such a connoisseur for quite some time. Go ahead.
I think there's like an inflection point, right? Like it's bourbon had been the drink that I drink as like a cocktail or a sipper, or like that's my thing. On tour, beer, and at home it's beer and wine and bourbon.
Yeah. Right.
But it was like that's just kind of a thing, and I had a couple of bottles and this or that. Somehow over the past like year and a half, it turned into like, well, let's explore some other bourbons. And then it's like, well, here's 3 that I like. Here's 4 here's 10 that I like. Well, now I'm just like, part of it's the hunt. Part of it's trying to find stuff that's hard to find.
Interesting.
It's not even the drinking. It's just the, I don't know. There's a cool community, and there's, I don't know. Part of it's the hunt. Like I said,
man, it's almost like these sneakers. These kids, the shoes, I don't ever use the word sneakers, but that's what they call them now, I guess. Used to be the old people said that, but these kids go for these Nikes or whatever. And it's just all about finding them. Right.
Yeah.
And spending all this money on them. And then once you have them, you don't want to scuff them up. So, you just kind of got this display of them, I guess.
Yeah, I don't understand that at all, but Dave was trying to explain some of it to us. But like there's lotteries for shoes, and when they come out, you have to sign up online the second they come out, and maybe you get to buy them and maybe you don't.
Yeah.
And if you do get to buy them, then they're worth more than you paid for them because no one else can get them. Crazy.
I wonder what the rationale behind that is. It just to keep the brand going that you only do these limited runs, I guess? I mean, because it can't be that the company isn't gouging you for the price. The company's making 300 pairs of these, and then they're selling them. And then it's the aftermarket where they start to go crazy or whatever. Why only make 300? Why not make enough for everybody to get? Because this thing is good for the brand, you think?
It's got to be. I mean, I don't understand that either. But I mean, it's got to be. There's got to be someone sitting there doing the math, going, okay, if we make these 300, like you said, and they sell out immediately, couldn't we raise the price and make 800, and they're going to sell immediately, and we're going to make more money, right?
Yeah, yeah. But I guess if you did that, yeah, I mean, I guess it would, because people are essentially advertising. Let's just say that it's Nike, because I think that's a big one. Right? I think people are basically advertising for Nike, and all these influencers that have these special shoes and all this. You're out there, you're just going, I just got these Mega Force 3s, and I don't think that's a real thing, by the way. But
I was going to say that sounds like a GoBot that I would have played with as a kid.
Well, there was a movie called Mega Force that was, it was out when I was a kid, but I don't really remember it. Must not have been very good. But yeah, that's got to be what it is. It's just keeping that like guitars do limited runs. I mean,
it's creating a feeding frenzy, which is creating a hype and creating a buzz.
Yeah,
which I guess, like you said, is good for the brand and sells the rest of their shoes as well, right?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, right? You want those that can afford it to go out there and get those, so that those most of us that can't afford those will at least go, well, we can't get those ones, but here, these ones look similar to them, and it's got the Nike swoosh on it,
Yeah,
and
it's as close as it is as I can get.
Right? It's not like fucking Payless or anything, you know what I mean?
Well, and then also like, let's be honest, who's buying the shoes, right?
Right.
For a lot of people that are into that crazy world, that want the shoe, that wants the influencer shoe, that wants this, right? A lot of those are kids and teenagers. So
100%.
Who's buying the shoe? The parents.
Right. Yeah.
So the kid and the teenager are sitting at home going, Nike this, Nike this, Nike this, Nike this, Nike this. Well,
right.
Whenever they go to Amazon or they go to the mall, they're like, well, here's a Nike. I'm just going to buy this.
Right.
And at that point, the kid's got the Nike. It's not the one that they're all crazy excited about, but the kids are doing the advertising at that point by just going Nike, Nike, Nike.
Yeah. It's funny. When Jack was in like junior high, he knew a couple of kids that were already had businesses where they would get in those lotteries, they'd buy the shoes, then they'd resell them or whatever. And he's just like, yeah, Dad, I got like a couple of friends that are making a few grand a week. It's like, man, I mean, and that's completely legal, and
see, if Tyler gets into any kind of that, that's legit, but like, flipping shoes or this or that, and he starts making a couple of grand a week, at that point, I don't care if he misses a lot of days of school. Good for him. Go be an entrepreneur. Right?
Yeah. Right. Well, you got to worry about the fucking truancy shit. Like,
I know. I'm joking, but like at that point, like I'm not really saying you should miss school, but at that, you understand running a business. You're going to learn more doing that than you are.
Well, certainly I do. Yeah. I mean, that happened to me. I don't ever really even buy shoes. Like when I buy,
we had a 10-year period of just getting free shoes multiple times a year. I've still got a closet full of them.
Yeah, I sold a lot of those on eBay or donated them. Like I sold all my my Doc Martens because we got 4 or 5 pairs of Doc Martens, and it's like, yeah, I'm never gonna wear those. So I sold, and then we got those motorcycle boots, and those motorcycle boots, I think I got like $400 or $500 for those things back in the day. But all the tennis shoes I just donated because I was never going to wear them. But yeah, you're right. Just always had a plethora of shoes, man. Because the shoes that I like are uncomfortable, so I can't wear them anymore. So I just am not excited about footwear. I have to wear shit that like, because of my knees, my back, my feet, my head, my shoulders, my hands. I have to wear. I'm not quite to New Balance yet, but I don't think I'm far away.
The funny thing about being older, and maybe it's that, there's so many more companies and there's so many more opportunities and there's so many more this or that. Like now I can go get shoes that I like that are comfortable and look cool that are like, I don't know, $50-$60.
Yeah.
That's not too bad. But I remember whenever I was a kid and growing up, we didn't have any money.
Mm-hmm.
But I was like, Mom, I want these Air Jordans. And, they're $100-$130. And she's like, well, you better wear these, and you're only wearing them to school. You're not playing in the yard. Like, because that was a lot of freaking money.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. You want to know the 12 best Chunky Dad sneakers you'll want to wear with every outfit. Here we go. All right. Number one is, oh no, they're rated differently. So, oh shit, this isn't the right thing. I just was trying to find, 13 best dad shoes of 2023.
If Dude Dad is not in there, then it's rigged.
Is that one a good one?
Sorry, no, that's the one that I say we should create. I always call it the wrong name. Hey Dude is the brand, and I'm always like, where's my Dude Dads?
Oh, Dude Dads.
Anyways, I'm like, we should create that.
Okay, so most timeless dad shoe is the Reebok Club C shoe. Man, this thing is fucking ugly. I mean, I was
gonna say I haven't even read the word Reebok for 20 years.
This fucking shoe looks like wall paint. You know, I mean, wasn't
it Reebok that had the pump it up, the tongue that you like pumped the basketball to give it more air?
I remember that.
That's the last time Reebok was relevant, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess so. The most elegant. I think we know somebody that wears these Nike Air Monarch 4 training shoes, $75. This one's going to surprise you too. Best white dad's shoe, Fila distributor shoe.
I am surprised by that.
Fila. I thought you had to play tennis to wear those.
I thought that was like a I can't think of the right word. Anyways, never mind.
Well, the best shock absorbing dad shoe is the Saucony Shadow 5000. They retail at Todd Snyder for $168.
Huh.
They're okay looking, but they still look like I feel like you remember kids got made fun of for wearing Payless shoes when we were kids.
Yeah.
And that's what all these fucking shoes look like.
Okay. 2 things.
Okay.
The Payless thing. Have you seen there's like a mockumentary. I don't know exactly what it is, but there's like a fake thing where they set up a shoe store on like what's the fancy place in LA where everyone goes and shops, Melrose or some shit.
Yeah.
They set up like some fake shoe shop over there and had all the celebrity shopping, and they're all like, these are the best shoes in the world, and they're paying $800 for them, and oh my gosh, I've never seen, and it's all just like Payless shoes.
Really?
And then they tell them and they're like, oh really, I had no idea.
Yeah.
So that's a thing. But then I was going to say, just fast forward through the list, just glance through it real quick and tell me if there's New Balance on there.
Well, it's going to be on there. You have to wait.
I'm impatient.
I know. Well, the next one, futuristic, is Adidas Aswagio, and it's fucking ugly. It also looks like wall paint. This one I've seen, Hoka.
Yeah,
it's the most stable shoe.
I can't remember. Does it have prices with those?
Yeah, $112.
Okay, so aren't the Hokas like the knockoff Brookses, and the Brookses are expensive?
Ooh, that could be. They honestly, these look like Skechers to me. They look like I think Skechers are knocking this one off because it's got like the same shape and stuff.
I think those are all similar-ish, but I could be wrong. But I think it's that the Brookses are the expensive, nice ones. The Hokas are the knockoffs, and whatever. I only know this because my wife's a nurse, and nurses all talk about shoes all the time.
Oh no, I get that. What's the brand they all wear? Because I had to buy. I get Casey these things. They're called something. I get her these because she's a hairstylist. And that's okay. I'll get back to that in a minute because we're almost to your pay dirt. Best dad's running shoe, Asics Gel Keanu.
See, I've got the Asics. They're nice.
$150. Okay, you ready for this?
Mine weren't that expensive.
Most iconic dad shoes, New Balance.
And are they the big white ones that you would never wear ever unless you like
ever.
The dude wearing those is like a 62-year-old that just finally got his Corvette, right?
Yeah. There's a best everyday dad shoe, and that's a New Balance too. Best cool. This is fucking great. Best cool dad shoes, the Yeezy Boost 700 Wave Runner shoes. They are $845.
Okay. I'm in a bunch of barbecue groups on Facebook, and so every like April it comes around and all the dads in these groups are making fun of, but they're like, I've got my New Balances ready for barbecue season.
Yeah. Man, I'm telling you, like the further you go down this list, the uglier and more expensive they get. Like they got this one called Best High Fashion Dad Shoes, and it's a Balenciaga triple S shoe. And this thing looks like it has a fucking caboose. Like you know what it looks like? It looks like you're on rollerblades with no wheels. And they are $1,100. Anyway, so that's our I just wanted to get down. I really went to that website because we were talking about it because I wanted to get to New Balance too, because it's in our song Getting Old Sucks. And it's one of those things where I've actually asked my friends, like, are they that comfortable? And everybody's like, yeah, I mean, they are. It's like what you're supposed to, yeah, you're just supposed to fucking do that. It's like, have you ever had a pair of those Brooks running shoes before?
No, the probably the most that-ish, whatever that is, type shoe is like those Asics that I have.
Gary, I had a pair of those. So when I first hurt my knee, yeah, I was like super trying to fucking, but before the second time, once I heard it the second time, I was like, there's fucking nothing I can do. But anyway, I bought a pair of those Brooks, and man, I get it. Like it is, they're ugly, but there's something to it for sure. But I actually stole the Adidas idea from you and Rob. I had never really worn, the only Adidas I'd ever had was those, the soccer shoes, and they're not really that comfortable. And so because that's what Jarinus wears. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
They're called something.
It's not the gazelles, but it's the ones that look like gazelles.
Yeah, they start with an S. But anyway, that I had those for Jarinus, and they're so uncomfortable. And so then you and Rob both wear a different kind of Adidas, and so I think I split the diff on y'all's shoes, and they're comfortable. I like them.
I've always been an Adidas fan, but I've got narrow feet, and they're narrower shoes than others. That's
right. Okay, so that's the thing. You could probably wear those soccer shoes and be fine with it. And you liked the Pumas a lot too, right?
Yeah, those are all right.
Yeah, I liked the Pumas. The Pumas just took a while to get used to. We were endorsed by Puma for a while, and they just took a little while to get used to because of that little lump in the sole. Like they have that
arch support.
The arch support, that thing.
The thing that shoes are supposed to have.
Yeah, I know, but it's like a little bit more defined and up a little bit further than a lot of. Like it took me a while to learn to walk in them. You know what I mean?
You were coming from wearing
Macbeth
Vans and Macbeths and Converse,
yeah.
And you're like, what? How come these shoes aren't flat things?
It's so fucking true, man. It's so true. I just wore shitty fucking shoes.
There's a cushion on my heel and at my toes, and there's something there's like this ball thing in the arch. What's going on here?
It's so true. It was like shoes were supposed to look cool. You didn't really care like what was on your feet, and God damn it, man. Those Macbeths, there's nothing to them. I mean, there's nothing. Yeah. And Vans too, really. I mean, and of course Chuck Taylor's or fucking, it's the fact
a flat piece of thin rubber on the bottom.
Just the fact that those used to be sold specifically to be basketball shoes.
Yeah, they're state of the art.
Hilarious. But I guess that was mostly about the ankle support, right? I mean,
support.
But yeah. Man, so crazy. Man, we got to take a break. I have no idea that we would get into talking about shoes today, but that's the beauty of this show. Don't forget, we're out every single week with an episode, and you can subscribe. Don't forget to just leave that review. If you want to help the show, help your buddies, Jaret and Gary from your favorite band, Bowling for Soup, leave a review, preferably a good one, and that really helps us out. And hey, y'all listen to this. We'll be right back with more Rockstar Dad Show. Welcome back to the Rockstar Dad Show. And man, one thing that we haven't talked about, we were just talking about our this has been a Getting Old Sucks. This has been a Getting Old Sucks episode, Gary.
I feel like, we both kind of have been fans of Howard Stern throughout his career.
Yeah.
But like back in the day, he was kind of the shock jock. And I've said in the past few years, I can't really listen to him because he just sounds like an old whiny lady.
He does.
And this is our sick episode. And we're just kind of like, let's talk about shoes.
Yeah. He just has turned into his mom. It's unlistenable now, but you know what? The guy he's a great interviewer. So that's that. He's got that going for him. He's got a lot going for him, Gary. He doesn't need us, but I will tell you this. We've talked a lot about naps, getaways, footwear, and the tour that we just we're in the middle of right now is the Getting Old Sucks tour. And the first leg, by the way, joining us on the Getting Old Sucks tour is Mest and Authority Zero. And we're all around, I think everybody's around your age. I think you're like sort of the median, sort of age.
I'll take that.
Yeah, I think that's kind of it. So it's like, there's Chris and I that are a little older, and then I think there's like Rob and Devin who are a little younger. I think everybody else is around where you're at.
Yeah, and I'm slightly younger than you guys, but I'm still 44 years old and been touring for 30 years, which I think that if you do that math, that makes me like 187.
You're 165, actually. Yeah. They've changed the scale.
I forgot to carry the one.
You forgot to. But I gotta say, there's something happening. And I will say that just pop punk in general, it's been so cool to just watch this genre ebb and flow and continue to do great, but just the high tide that we're on right now. And it's kind of been the perfect storm, really, with the MGK and the Mod Sons of the world getting out there and sort of putting it back in the forefront of the younger generation. But, with Blink-182 now releasing an album, Sum 41 releasing a double album and breaking up. So a big tour there. Offspring is obviously touring. Yellow Card got back together. Us being back on the road and celebrating 30 years next year. It's just, there's something really cool in the air, and it doesn't necessarily just seem nostalgic. Like, I think a lot of the comments that we get about Bowling for Soup are nostalgic. Like, oh my God, how old am I? Like I saw, we just announced a tour of Florida with Lit in, and New Orleans, New Orleans and Florida in January.
New Orleans is part of Florida now.
It is now, I think. That Panhandle just fucking grows. It's like it's getting a boner.
It's a grower.
It's a grower, not a shower. But one of the comments I read was just like, oh my God, they're touring together. How old am I? Or what year is this? And it was just like, okay, I get it. And I like that shit because I do like to be nostalgic in people's minds, but just the vibe in these crowds. And you could just tell that this is just such a celebrated kind of music, and it's just such a happy vibe. Like we didn't have, back in the day, we would fill places up and you'd have fights, and you'd play like Authority Zero would have had some fans that hated us that would have stayed just to give a shit, and none of that's there anymore. It's just such a positive thing, and I think that's one of the cool things about the genre that we chose to be part of, and just us staying the course in our kind of music so that our fandom knows what to expect, knows what they're going to see, what they're going to sing along to, kind of thing.
It's kind of weird that you say that. So like you saying that, like, it's just such a positive vibe and it's a fun night, and it really is. Like, there's just an energy of togetherness, getting along, right? Yeah. Like it's non-divisive. Maybe that's the word I should say. But I was going to say, maybe part of what's drawing everybody in these days to that reemergence of pop punk is like the whole world's kind of just divisive and crazy right now. But here's a night where you can just go have fun and be in positive energy.
Yeah.
But you're right though, because it's kind of weird where 20 years ago, Mest fans and Authority Zero fans might not like Bowling for Soup, but now 20 years later, it all works.
Yeah. Yeah. And we've seen that with Less Than Jake and Real Big Fish too, because there was a time where we played with Real Big Fish in the mid 2000s where it was like, okay, well, we might get murdered and it's going to be fine. It's just death. But
just a mild case of death.
Yeah, it's fine. But, here we are now and the fans cross over just fine. And it's the same with Less Than Jake. We're touring the world with those guys now. It's just a good time. You said it, you hit the nail on the head though, man. I feel like with everything that happens in the world now, for some reason, everybody feels like they need to choose a side. It's like Live Nation put out this thing yesterday. So by the time you get this, it's going to be out a week. And it's, they're going to stop taking merch cuts, and they're giving bands a stipend, which is $750 in cash and $750 in gas cards, whether you're the headliner or whether you're one of the opening bands. And I understand that for some people in the world, there's going to be a negative spin for that. Say you're the local club that is trying to book those same bands. I get it. You're going to have to compete to get those bands into your place. But, at the end of the day, that's not going to have me decide where I play. I'm not going to just go play a Live Nation venue just simply because of this merch cut thing or the stipend. But it is going to force your hand to not take part of our merch money and some of that stuff. Anyway, now I'm getting into the positives. I didn't want to do that. I saw so many people trying to find the negative aspect of it and trying to, but they're going to pass it on to the consumer. And it's like, okay, even if they do fucking pass it on the consumer, it's going to be 50 cents on your ticket. Don't buy the ticket if 50 cents is too much for, you know what I mean? Like, why does a victory for the bands have to be a negative for fucking everybody else?
So I saw that story come out, and you know me, I try not to go into the comments. So I didn't go into the comments. I saw you yesterday saying that people were being negative, and I'm like, what does anyone have to be negative about?
Yeah.
I get, like you said, the club owner across town that isn't part of Live Nation. But then I'm like, the rest of the negatives is probably like Steve8397 at dickyahoo.com that doesn't have any experience just wanting to be negative, right?
You know what? The one of the comments was? It was just Live Nation sucks. And so I just fuck it. And that was on my thread. So I just put, you tell them. Do you want to put some context into that? Like that, but that's the perfect fucking comment to bring into this conversation. Why does that need to be said on a post where I've already said, why is there negativity behind this? The bands win one small fucking victory. And I'm not talking about Bowling for Soup, guys. If you're listening to this, I'm talking about those bands that are in a van that literally that merch percentage and that $1,500 in cards and cash is going to get them to the next city. And possibly they're going to have a little bit of money left at the end of the tour.
It's gas in the tank and a few tacos at the end of the night and maybe some money to go home with. Maybe. Yeah.
That's not going to a Bowling for Soup or a Less Than Jake or a blah, blah, blah. Yes. We're fighting that merch percentage like a motherfucker. That's the thing, right? We're fighting that. That's not going to decide whether or not we play that venue. First of all, that's not how it works anyway. You have to have the venue, first of all, has to be available on the night and blah, blah, blah. And it's a whole thing. But they're just going to put that into the offer is really what's going to happen. I mean, like maybe the guarantee is going to be a little bit less, but the band doesn't give a shit. Like if you're a band that's going in there and having to sell 150 to 200 tickets to make your nut, and you have trouble struggling to do that, you at least know that you're going to eat. And that's the fucking point in the whole thing. I could have done without the stipend. From our standpoint, we're fighting this merch percentage thing. If you guys haven't watched the BJ Barnum American Aquarium episode, go back and hear where all this started, because we got him early, and that guy's riding pretty high right now. There's a lot of people celebrating that motherfucker.
Oh man, I bet everyone's, patting him on the back. The story looks like they're giving Willie Nelson the credit for this one. Yeah. Anyways, I think you're right about him actually getting the credit. I think it's crazy. You're right. Like, it's a huge win for bands.
Yes.
Just getting rid of that percentage.
Mm-hmm.
That just getting rid of the percentage is amazing. Yeah. I wasn't expecting in that story there to be and we're giving them the stipend thing.
Same.
And you know what? I bet I can see how people that are already upset with Live Nation charging too much for fees and this and that and blah, 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 yada, yada, going, no, now we're going to have to pay for that. But to your point, that $700 spread over however many people, like, yeah, it's a few cents on the ticket.
Let me tell everybody.
And the band that you're wanting to go see can now go play in front of another crowd tomorrow.
Let me put everybody's mind at ease that's worried about the ticket going up 50 cents. Sorry. Your merch just went down $5. Like, now we're not having to build in to fucking pay for that thing. So t-shirts aren't going to be $65. You know what I mean? Like, it's
a great point. You're coming away ahead. So your ticket went up 50 cents, but your t-shirt went down $5.
100%. Like, our pricing would be completely different on the road if this was a blanket thing. We have to decide at the beginning of the tour what this is going to be. And, it sucks. We're punk rock. I fucking think all shows should be $5 and t-shirts should be $10. That's the way it should be. unfortunately, economics don't work that way. You know, I mean, buses have doubled in prices since COVID. Flights doubled in prices since COVID. You know, everything. The cost of goods for merch, gas. It's so expensive to tour and actually try and make money now. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, give the bands a break. Give them a fucking break.
Give the bands a break. But like, we just don't need to rush out and complain about things that we don't fully understand.
Exactly. That's exactly what I said. I said, why do we do that thing where we start creating problems? And because I realize that people do that in their minds. Like if you go, hey man, give me a call. I got to talk to you about something. I'm like, oh shit. What the fuck is this going to be? He can't fucking play the goddamn Christmas show or whatever, whatever, or whatever.
It's worst case scenario.
He's got an ingrown toenail. You know what I mean? Like something bad is happening. Right. And that's what we do. But now that we've got social media, we as a society just fucking do that. We just spit it like, oh, so this positive thing happened. Well, then here's all the negative shit that's going to happen. And none of it is even a fucking reality yet. Right. Or even it's just ideas of things that could go wrong. And we put it out as, oh God, this is going to happen now. It's like you go pick, and I'm sure that you feel the same way about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that I do. I think it's stupid and silly. It's a museum, right? And people get put into that museum. Most of them deserve it. And that it is what it is, right? But it's like every year someone gets put into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and all of the complaints are that person shouldn't be in there because all of these people aren't. And it's like, right. Why does someone else not get to win a trophy because these people haven't done that yet? That doesn't make any fucking sense. That's not how the world works. These people are, it doesn't, just because Iron Maiden isn't in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame doesn't mean that Judas Priest shouldn't be,
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
One person's qualification is not a disqualification for someone else. It's just not this moment, this time.
The big thing was when Green Day got in and, of course the world almost fucking shut down. And I was just like, these motherfuckers changed the course of some shit. There's a fucking Broadway play based upon a best-selling Broadway play based upon their music. Why wouldn't they fucking be in the and people? Well, Cheap Trick's not in yet. Okay, I'm not saying Cheap Trick shouldn't be in, but Jesus Christ, why can't someone get in early? It fucking frustrates me. I hate when we tear people down. I fucking hate it.
Yeah,
I fucking hate it. I hate homegrown negativity. Just like shit that's just like, man, I'm gonna just fucking be negative about this because
it's knee-jerk negativity.
Yeah,
right?
Sure. Fuck. People, y'all are all crazy. All of you. And put some if you've listened this far into this episode, go put some positivity into the world, man. And feel how good it feels. It's so nice. Just go build somebody up. Somebody that posts a song or something, just go, man, that song's really good. Or a piece of art. That is really cool. Or congratulate somebody on a promotion, And you know what? When somebody gets a promotion, you know what else is a thing? 700 other people in that fucking company didn't get a promotion. It doesn't mean that they don't deserve it. It just means that guy fucking got it. Right?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. Everyone should go do something nice for somebody else. Sometimes you don't understand how small, how a tiny little gesture can make someone's day.
100%. Yeah. And you know what? I think that's a good place to end our old man fucking Rockstar Dad Show. I went on a rant. Just fucking rant about negativity.
I've got to get off this show and go yell at someone to get off my lawn.
My feet hurt. My fucking back hurts. Guys, this is the Rockstar Dad Show. We'll be back next week. I think we do have a guest next week, but if not, hopefully Gary and I feel better and we pass that betterness on to you, the listener.
And you can go pass some goodness on to somebody else.
As I said, please go leave that positive review and make sure that you subscribe. And if you heard a commercial for a sponsor and that interested you, why not go support those people? I think that's it, dude.
We did it.
We'll see y'all next time. Y'all be good.
This is a song for my friends Jaret and Gary. They started a podcast and said a theme was necessary. They're just a couple of guys in a band that you know. Some rockstar dads who started a show. Until the next episode.